You know what's wild? I get no real comments on my personal post the second I started posting things that I actually cared about. The second you stop posting bikini photos or you stop posting all the bougie holidays and luxury things and actually post things you care about, you'll start to see who the real people are. It's wild. Hello and welcome back to another episode on the Beauty Industry Leaders podcast. I'm your host, Sammy Kennedy. Today's guest is the powerhouse behind one of Sydney's most recognisable lash brands, Gloria Hung, founder of Glow Artistry. Gloria started lashing from her bedroom at just 17 years old, and in under 3 years, she's made over $400,000, scaled her business into a thriving salon team of 3, launched a successful product line, and built a training academy offering both online and in-person education. What really sets Gloria apart was her decision to niche down and specialize in anime lashes, a bold and creative style that wasn't just different, but it quickly sparked a movement. Since then, she's become known not only for her artistry, but for how she teaches, helping aspiring lash artists build solid foundations, refine their technique, and gain the confidence to thrive in a competitive industry. She's honest about the messy middle too, from making mistakes and doubting herself to navigating burnout and building back stronger. In this episode, we unpack the full journey, from dropping out of high school and chasing freedom to building a premium brand, cultivating a loyal community, and redefining what great lash education can look like in Australia. Whether you're a lash tech, an educator, or an entrepreneur in any part of the beauty industry, this conversation is going to be filled with insights that will challenge, inspire, and motivate you to step into your next level. Welcome to the show, Gloria. How are you feeling today?
I am very excited. I have been counting down the days until this podcast. But yeah, I've been looking forward to it so much.
I'm really excited to have you on. I've been watching your journey unfold for the last couple of years, and just to see what you've been able to achieve and how you've leveled up, it's been really cool to witness. For anyone who's never come across you or Glow Artistry before, how would you describe your brand in 3 words?
Number 1 definitely has to be pink, and then girly and also fun.
I love that. And when you strip away the business, the lashes, the content, the pink, who is Gloria behind the scenes?
I feel like behind the scenes, I'm actually a very, very chill person. I'm actually really introverted, although during the business, I have to force myself to be extroverted. But yeah, if I'm not doing lashes and not doing business, I'm usually reading a book, going out with my boyfriend, or hanging out with my cat. So yeah, overall, I'm a pretty chill person, and I feel like I'm also very creative. So I love doing crafty things like art and also drawing and all that kind of stuff. But then I do have another side of me where I'm a bit of a party girl. I love my hard style. I love going to raves as well. So yeah.
So you just go to the gym to get jacked for the raves pretty much.
Exactly. The raves are my biggest gym motivation.
I absolutely love all of that. Now, can you take us back to 2022? You were 17 years old, just getting started, lashing from your bedroom. What made you take the leap so young?
So originally, I was never actually into beauty. So growing up, I was always doing dance, and my dream was to become a professional dancer. So I actually went to a selective school in Sydney. And if you don't know what selective school, it's basically a school for gifted and talented people who are smart. So somehow I got into that school, and it was very academic based. Everyone was Asian, parents expected us to be doctors, lawyers, etc. But I had this passion to become a dancer, and I knew that uni just wasn't for me. So after year 10, I made the decision to audition for a full-time dance school without really telling my parents. So I auditioned and I got in, and then I told my parents after, and it took a lot of convincing, but they let me drop out of school and pursue that full time. So after I went into dance, I did it for about 2 to 3 years. And I also had to pick up lashing on the side to also pay for the tuition. And then I did a huge 180 and decided that I wanted to quit dance completely and go into lashes.
Wow, that's a big risk that you took, and obviously it's paid off for you now. A lot of people finish school and they still don't know what they want to do, but you dropped out and dove straight into business. Can you walk us through that decision and what was going through your mind at the time?
So I think for me, I hate wasting time. I feel like when I know I want something, I want to just go all in. And with lashes, it did start off more as a hobby because before that, I was working a part-time job at KFC, which was pretty horrible. And I saw an advertisement on Instagram about a lash course. And I thought that it seemed really cool because you can work from home, it's quiet, and you get to just hang out with girls only because who doesn't love that? So I was like, why not give it a go? So I took a lash course and then opened up my own salon, and I started doing that for around 2 years.
Would you say that the drive for you making it work was that you needed to pay for the tuition, or was it that you needed to prove everyone wrong, that you dropped out of high school and you can be successful? Like, what was the story that was going on in your head to drive you to be successful?
I think it was actually a bit of both. I will say lashes started off as a hobby and I didn't think about the money too much. But once I saw the tuition and how much I had to pay, I was like, okay, I really need to grind to be able to pay it off.
How much was this tuition? Like, how much does a private dance school cost?
It was around $16,000 a year. And I feel like that's quite a lot for someone who's 17.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so what were some of those early lessons that you learned when you were first starting your business, especially working from home?
I think one of the main lessons I learned is that you really have to separate your business from friends. Because obviously starting out young, I only wanted to take friends at first, but I quickly realized friends aren't always going to support you and they can actually take advantage of you. So I had lots of people always like asking me for discounts or even getting annoyed when I didn't want to offer a discount. And, those friends would also not respect my policies. They'll come late and not expect any consequences because they were my friends.
Have you found the same have you employed any friends and had the same issue?
I haven't employed any friends, but I think we've also gotten really close and became friends afterwards. So sometimes, yeah, it does kind of cross the line between friendship and business, but it's not as bad as like clients being friends.
Yeah. It's so interesting. Like, majority of people who have never owned a business before think, if I go start this business, all my friends and family will be here to support me and it'll go off. And the people who cheer you on the most are some random stranger on the internet. And all your friends, they won't comment on your post, they won't like you, and then they see you starting to grow and being successful, and it almost triggers them because they're like, oh, wow, I'm not doing anything with my life, or, oh, they've got the confidence to go out and start that thing. And I think the loneliest part of being a business owner is that as you start to grow and progress, you slowly start to outgrow people and you lose people, and it can get lonely. Have you ever experienced that in your journey?
Definitely. And also because since I dropped out of a young age, I felt like I didn't really have anything in common with other people. All my friends were talking about uni, my dance friends were talking about dance, and I felt like I had no one to talk to because no one understood where I was coming from.
So now it's 2025. Can't believe it's almost the end of the year. It's wild. You have a salon, not at home in a commercial space. You have a team, you have a product line, and you have a training academy, all within 3 years. What has been the hardest part about growing so fast?
I think the hardest part was balancing everything because for me, I really want to excel in all of those areas equally. And I'm also the type of person to start like 10 different projects at the same time. And then I wonder why I'm so stressed about it. So I guess just like balancing everything and also learning to be a leader. I feel like when you're like the boss, everyone expects you to know everything and act like you know everything and be really confident. But sometimes deep down, I really don't know what I'm doing. But I guess it's about, like showing people the confidence and guiding them and then figuring things out on my end.
And you know what? Sometimes being a good leader is being vulnerable and saying, hey, I don't have the answers to everything. Let's work through it together. Do you find being younger in the industry, it's harder to step into being a leader because you've got the imposter syndrome or you think you have to be a certain age? Because I know for me, that was my biggest block. Like I was going, people aren't going to take me seriously at this age. Like, do I have to be 40 for someone to start believing that I can lead them? I don't know. Is that something that comes up for you?
Yeah, I think when I first started, I never told people my age because I was really scared that they won't trust me. And even with my team, I was also a bit hesitant at first since everyone was the same age or even slightly older. So whenever I give people like criticism or feedback, I was very, very nervous at first. And sometimes I completely avoided it.
So many lessons to unpack here. I want to move into the power of niching, which is your absolute expertise here. You're best known for your anime lashes. When did you first discover that style and what really drew you into it?
So 6 months after starting lashing, I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw a photo by Winkbar. She's based in New York, and she posted a photo of anime lashes, and it absolutely went viral everywhere. And I instantly fell in love. Especially because most of my clients are already Asian, and so many people always came to me saying they couldn't find a lash style that suited the eye shape. Because of Asian eyes, you can't just slap on a mega volume and call that a day. You do have to do something a bit more specialized. So already clients were complaining, and I didn't have a solution at the time. But once I saw the anime lashes, I was like, wow, this is the perfect solution that I can do for them.
And so do you find most of your clients are all Asian, or do you get other people as well opting for the anime style?
I would say it's 70% Asian, but now we get a bit of everyone because anime, it's also really versatile. It does suit every single eye shape.
When you look at most lash artists, they start out with classics, then they might learn hybrid, volume, and they might look into different things like wispy. What have you seen as a benefit from specifically specializing in anime? Like, how has it actually taken you out of that saturated industry where everyone's just trying to offer everything?
It instantly got me and my team fully booked because we're offering something that no one else is offering. And even with teaching as well, everyone wants to come to me because I'm the only person teaching it and it's my original style.
Oh, tell me more about this original style, because when I look at it, I go, okay, anime, there's, I've seen that there's fans now. You can buy them, they're pre-made. Then I know you do your handmade style. Like, what made you go within a niche, for example, anime, and then come up with your own signature style within anime? Like, run me through that process.
Yeah, so actually, when I first saw the image of the anime lashes, I was hoping that someone would teach a course because that would make my life a lot easier. But unfortunately, back then, no one was teaching it. There were no ebooks, nothing whatsoever. So I realized I just had to figure it out on my own. And in the beginning, it really was not good at all. I think my anime sets looked terrible for the first year, but slowly I started testing so many different techniques, watching a lot of different videos as well, and then coming up with my own formula to create my special kind of anime sets.
And so when you're looking and you're doing this research and you're trying to figure out how do I create my own signature anime style, what kind of accounts were you looking at? Were you looking in Asia? Were you looking in America? Like, who was actually leading this movement?
So anime lashes are actually really popular in Asia, specifically China. However, it was never brought to the Western countries. So I was trying to watch a lot of like Asian tutorials, but I didn't really understand it because I'm not super fluent either. So I was like kind of zooming into the videos, zooming into the photos and trying to figure out what they were using. But it was pretty hard with no tutorial. So for me, I think it was a lot of trial and error as well to get it right.
It's so interesting because I feel like Australia is so behind. Like, when you go and travel to different countries, it just completely blows your mind what technology is out there. Like, especially Korea, they are living in like 2050. Like, we are, if you want to go and get ahead of the market, you need to go and travel and see what these other people are doing. Or if you can't travel, at least follow those creators. Have you noticed that making the move on anime early actually put you in a better position when everyone in Australia started to find out about anime? Because I know you've been doing it for a few years now, but I only think I noticed it coming up on my feed within the last like 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of people think I'm the original creator of the whole anime style, which is not true. It did originate in China. I just have my own style. But yeah, people always knew me as like the original or the person who brought it to Sydney.
So it's like that first to market. There's so many AI companies out there, but when we think AI, we automatically think ChatGPT. Very, very smart as well for your training academy. Now, if someone was struggling to stand out and they're trying to offer everything to everyone, what advice would you want to share with them?
Firstly, do your research about what everyone is offering around you in your city and also your country. And then secondly, pick something that you want to master, not just what everyone else wants. And don't be afraid to look at international places as well, such as different countries, and just really think outside the box. And once you find something that you personally really love, start to master it, practice it, do lots of trial and error, and then you can slowly bring it to your own salon as well.
It's really solid advice. Was there ever a time when you were going all in on anime and then you saw other lash trends and new offers come out and almost got distracted going, should I start focusing on this? Should I learn that?
Yeah, definitely with Wispy, because Wispy, I would say it's like even more popular than anime right now. And like for a while, I was like, hold up, should I just copy everyone else? Because I feel like it would be easier since other people are teaching courses. But I realized if I do that, I'm just going to become like everyone else instead.
Yup. It's such an interesting industry that we're in. Like, there's so many different services out there. And I think it was quite interesting. I had a previous client who is in her 50s, and I put this comment on a Facebook group and I said, you're better off specializing or mastering one service. And then once you've got that down packed and you can get results with 100% confidence, like you're efficient at it, you've got your own unique mechanism, whatever it is, then you might go, okay, do I want to add something else in that can be an upsell, a cross-sell, and it just makes sense. But back in the day, people would become a beauty therapist. They would learn all the different skin, lashes, nails, brows. And it's like, how good can you really be at all of those if you're trying to spread yourself so thin, trying to learn it all? And I think now when we look at the shift of how people choose to buy, like, Gloria, would you go to the same person who's your hairdresser, who's your nail tech, who's your skin therapist, who's your brow tech? Like,
absolutely not.
So I want to dive into the business side, because I know offering a service, developing a product, like, that's just step one. Like, by default, you have to have an incredible product or service. But step two is actually learning how to become a good business operator. And that is a whole new skill set. It comes with a different set of challenges, as I'm sure you would have experienced. I'm really curious to know, what's been the biggest mistake that you've made in business so far, and how did you fix it?
Okay, this one's a bit of a funny one. So when I was 18, I was like very ambitious and very optimistic. So I was scrolling on TikTok and Instagram, and I see all these lash business owners posting like all the orders they're getting for products and how they're taking like 100 boxes to Australia Post, and they're flexing about like, how many orders they get in Black Friday sales. And I was like, wow, what a great idea. What if I just spend my entire savings on products, slap my logo on it, and I'll become rich instantly. So that's exactly what I did. I took my savings, which was like 15K at the time, and then just bought a bunch of lash supplies and just like randomly went on Canva and made a logo and then slapped my logo on it. And I had no experience in e-commerce. I didn't know how to make a website. I was still working at home, didn't have a camera. And I remember taking my product photos on my like dressing table as well with my iPhone. And I genuinely thought that I'll become like a millionaire. And of course it didn't work. But I guess in the bright side, I wouldn't say it was really a mistake, because we still use the supplies at the salon now, and I've rebranded since. And I guess it was just a huge learning lesson for me.
So you pretty much dived head over heels into this new business without having any idea how you were actually going to sell the product.
Exactly.
And now, what's been the biggest lesson for like future business ventures or ideas or launches from that mistake?
Don't spend your entire savings on one thing.
So fair.
Yeah.
What's one of the biggest limiting beliefs or like mindset blocks that you had to really let go of to get to where you are now?
That I can charge more and then I'm worth more. Because when I first started doing lashes, I was charging extremely low. I think it was like $50 for a full set. And even on Instagram and TikTok, I always promoted myself as the cheap artist. I'll always say like, oh, POV, you found a cheap artist in Sydney. It's only $50 for a set. And those videos actually blew up, and I got a lot of clients for that. And I kept thinking to myself, they're only coming to me for the price tag. So I think for the longest time, I always thought clients are only coming to me because of my price and that I'm not worth any more. And, I rarely raise my prices. I think in my first year of starting out, I raised it by like $10, and that was it, because I thought if I charge any more, everyone is going to leave me.
Can we talk a bit more about what you've learned about pricing this year through us working together?
Yes. So in the beginning of this year, I did profitable pricing with Sammy, and I think I had a heart attack after seeing the numbers. I was like, oh my goodness, I am severely undercharging. Even though I thought it was a good price, I wasn't actually looking at all the back end stuff. And I actually still had that limiting belief in me because going from home to salon, I thought that if I raised it too much, my clients will still leave me. And I wasn't taking into consideration that the overhead costs are so much higher when you're working in a commercial space.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing that surprised me was how you had the contractors set up. Rather than employees, it was like, okay, cool, I've got my contractors here. And they weren't really contractors, but they were reaping all the benefits of a contractor. And we had to like reassess where your percentages were sitting. And one cool thing that we did learn together is that you've got 30% going to your overheads, 30% going to wages, and 30% to profit and paying yourself as the owner. When those wages were sitting at 60%, it was just way too much. And now you've completely flipped the script. You've increased your value, you've increased your prices, and now you're in a position where you can actually afford to pay better talent. You can afford to have your salon run without you having to work every hour and put your profit from your prices into paying your team and running the overheads. And even better, you know that you can reinvest in the business, the training academy, and all the other cool things you're working on. If someone was in your position, they were so scared to put up their prices and they were like, you know what, everyone's going to leave me. Can you run through the process of how it's been actually putting up your prices and tell us, did all your clients actually leave you?
So I actually just increased my prices again yesterday. And I was also freaking out because I thought everyone would leave me. But I sent out my booking link and I am almost fully booked for November already. And I didn't lose a single client. So yeah.
I wish people could see the smile on your face as you're saying that, because I know in our calls it was just like, oh my gosh, nah, we can't do this.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. And like, do you believe in your value more now?
100%. I think I'm still actually worth more than what I'm charging, but it's baby steps to get to where I want to. But yeah, just never undervalue yourself. Like I feel like everyone always puts so much effort in the business and in the skills, but then they get too scared to charge their worth.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I think lashes, nails, and brows are very much undervalued. And the reason why I say that is because if you're listening to this and you're offering any of those services, like think about it. Most of the time it takes like 1 to 2 hours to provide that service. And, if you're only charging, $50 to $60 for a brow wax and dye, but that's taking you, 30 to 45 minutes, you're still not barely making $100 an hour most of the time. And so given the amount of time it takes to provide that service, and depending on how much your clients are returning, it actually doesn't even begin to cover the increase of overheads that we're now seeing our industry facing, like commercial rent, wages, super. If they move GST from 10 to 15%, like that is going to absolutely cripple the businesses who are selling really low ticket services. And I think that's why so many people are moving home, because instead of increasing their prices and actually aligning with how inflation is moving, they're so scared they're going to lose clients that they start decreasing the quality. So they go back home, they get cheaper products, they get rid of staff. And in order for you to progress as a business owner, you have to invest and you have to be the best. Like that is literally the only way these businesses are going to survive, is if they continue to align with the increases in inflation, but also like who's going to want to work for you if you're charging cheap prices and you can only pay minimum wage? Like most people will go out and start their own business anyway. So I reckon it'll be very interesting to see how the next, 5 to 10 years evolve in the beauty industry in terms of employment, how many people are companies versus sole traders. So much to say here. Gloria, I want to talk to you more about imposter syndrome, because it's something that every single person who listens to this podcast, who is a business owner or in our industry, struggles with. How have you actually navigated through those moments of having that imposter syndrome?
I think I also really had to realize that social media is really fake, and, everyone's just showing the highlights, and honestly, so am I. And I used to scroll my phone all the time and looking at all these lash techs and business owners doing all these big things, getting a billion orders, getting fully booked. And I felt so shit about myself all the time. I think it went on for a few months last year. And I realized the Solution is actually really simple. Just mute the stories and posts and just don't look at it. Like that's honestly what I did. And it actually helped me so much because then I can actually focus on myself, my business and what I want to do instead of always comparing myself to other people.
Oh, the comparison trap is so real. And you're so right. We'll look at other people's journeys and go, oh my gosh, you know what? There's probably someone looking at your content and going, wow, how has she got a staff? How has she got a team and how has she got her academy and done all these things? It's like comparison is the thief of joy, as they say. And it's really sad as well because we live in one of those worlds where everyone's comparing. Like social media has literally hardwired us to look at how many likes you get, how many shares you get. Are you popular? Do you get all the comments? You know what's wild? I get no real comments on my personal post the second I started posting things that I actually cared about. The second you stop posting bikini photos or you stop posting all the bougie holidays and luxury things and actually post things you care about, you'll start to see who the real people are. It's wild. Have you experienced that as well?
Yeah, 100%.
What do you think is one of the best things you can do to maintain a healthy relationship with social media?
It's looking less at other people's content. So less consuming and more creating. I think that's how I would put it.
Ooh. So
Yeah.
do you put little timers and stuff on so you're not scrolling social media for ages?
I honestly give myself a mental check because I used to just go on my phone for 30 minutes just looking through everyone's stories. But now I tell myself okay, just look at 3 people's stories max and that's it. You can turn off your phone and do something else. You don't have to be going down a rabbit hole and looking at everyone because I already know that's going to send me into a spiral again.
Yeah, very valid advice. I think I find myself always just going to do it and then I'm like, no, it's such a thing. The way they make it so addictive is insane. I find if I wake up and I go on my phone first thing in the morning, my focus, my energy levels, my eyes are stinging. It's just crazy how much it impacts you. And then I don't know about you, but I get so frustrated easily. If I go on social media and I've been scrolling mindlessly for an hour, I get up, I'm not angry, but I'm just very short fused. I'm just oh. So I reckon all of us, if we could just get rid of social media, we'd be so much happier. We'd have a better community. Our lives would be better. But no, here we are. What's been the hardest business conversation you've had to have, whether it was with a client, a team member, or even yourself?
One of the hardest was definitely having to let go of a team member because, again, I was quite scared of confrontation at the time. And because it's my first time being a leader and having a staff, all these experiences were so new to me. So having to do things for the first time was very hard. So letting go of people for the first time was very hard. And I think even deciding to let people go, because I think I was the type to just keep giving people a billion different chances. And then I saw that it was actually ruining my business and I had to do something about it.
When you say giving people a billion chances, what kind of things were you letting slide in the past?
Oh, this is pretty bad, but things like them showing up late for work or not being dressed appropriately or just not providing good quality work and not taking corrections, all those little mistakes, I'll just let it slide because I think, maybe they won't do it again next time. But it just became a cycle for a few months and I realized at the end of the day, it is my business. And if I have a team member like that, it's going to ruin my reputation and, our clients won't be happy and it's very damaging.
So what do you do differently now? If I'm your employee, I come in, 20 minutes late to work. Oh, I'm so sorry. It was the traffic. Psych. I just got out of bed and I didn't leave until it was my actual time to start my shift. What are you doing to actually change that behavior or call it out earlier?
Yeah, so now I've changed because I basically tell them straight away, never in front of the clients, but, after a day of work, I'll send them a message and then sort things out. I never wait a very long time before telling them because that wouldn't be fair to them either if one day I just randomly give them a list of everything they ever did wrong. So for now, I always just do it on the day. And I also, do meetings with my team regularly just to check up on everything and also give them feedback.
It's a great approach as well. It's in a relationship, if you let one thing slide, it's oh yeah, and then it keeps happening and you build resentment and then you just blow up one day and they're where did that come from,
Yeah,
Having
exactly.
those conversations makes a hell of a difference. Now, with the Glow Artistry brand, I'm serious, your brand just stops the scroll. Whenever I see your content, it is absolutely incredible. What has been your intentional approach to building a visual identity that stops the scroll and instantly stands out?
For me, I've always been a very creative person. Even in high school, I did a lot of arts. And my boyfriend likes to say that I have a really good eye for aesthetics. Like I can look at something and, I can see if it looks nice or if it doesn't look nice. So I actually love creating graphic designs on like Canva and stuff myself as well. I feel like it's really fun for me because I get to express my personality and identity through my branding.
And for someone who's sitting there going, okay, I am creative because obviously they're in beauty. Like there's got to be some level of creativity, whether it's sculpting brows, whether it's, fixing people's hair or skin or whatever it is. Like, how did you actually develop those content creation skills? Because you might have the creativity, but doing content like video editing, Canva, like especially editing and design, like how did you do it?
I think in the beginning I wasn't amazing, but it definitely developed through time. And I would say having like all of your signature colors, signature fonts in mind, it makes things a lot easier when you're crafting a graphic design on Canva. I would say try and stay away from like templates and stuff like that because it's not as original. But scrolling through Pinterest is also a really good method and just looking for info and trying to copy that yourself. And then as for video editing, that one actually also took me a bit of time to learn, but TikTok actually is a really good resource. There are so many creators posting free tutorials that you can just watch.
I'm definitely a sucker for the templates. I get so in my head about, is this right or wrong? And I think having a graphic designer who created branded templates was one of the best investments for me because I am not graphically gifted like you. I'm more of the copywriting kind. But I agree, when you see people who have all bought the same Etsy template, put them into Canva, they haven't even changed the colors or the fonts, and then they're going, why don't I stand out? And I'm like, well, I think that's a really good point you make there is like, whatever you do, you need to make sure that it's unique to your own brand. Otherwise, like you were saying before with all the lashes and not specializing in anime, like you're going to blend in with everyone else and it's going to be a real struggle to attract the right type of people.
Can I add something as well?
Go for it.
Yeah. Don't feel like you have to just look at other beauty businesses for inspo. You got to branch out. You got to look at fashion designers. You got to look at like even food brands and see how they do their branding and take inspiration from that, not just beauty.
That's really great advice. You know what's wild is like the more time I spend working with beauty therapists, business owners, coaches, educators, the more I realize that not many people actually know what they're doing when it comes to their marketing. And a lot of it is just copy and paste of maybe a couple of people who are sitting at the top. And now that I know what I know and I've seen the type of results that happen behind the scenes, I'm like, that person might be going viral and that's great, but they're not actually converting that audience into clients. And so there's different types of content that you have to learn as well. And when you look at your overall marketing strategy, being able to have your brand content explaining who you are, what you do, but then also having like content that generates sales. And I know a lot of people are a bit funny and they're like, I don't want to be salesy, I don't want to be pushing, but like storytelling content, you can leverage that to create sales. There's so much that has changed in the industry. And I think when we look at beauty, beauty hasn't progressed in the content side as much as some other industries have. So the before and afters, constantly posting that, it's not going to get you what you need. Actually, I'm really curious, like in terms of your content, what content have you found has brought you the most engagement? And then also what type of content has actually brought you in the most clients or inquiries? What's working for you right now?
What's working the best is anything storytelling, so voiceovers and all that kind of stuff. And I actually do put a lot of time and thought behind my scripts because everyone has a really short attention span nowadays. So you do have to cater your script so that people can stop and keep watching a video. So coming up with really good and catchy hooks. Yeah, I feel like whenever I post stuff about me dropping out of school and opening a business, those videos always blow up and I get heaps of inquiries for students.
And you know why? Because they see themselves in you. They go, oh, I am the dropout. I want to be successful. Like when you just show the final result, like, hey, look at me. I'm Gloria. I've done all these things. Like people go, oh, good for you. Like they kind of just tune out. But when they hear the failure or the struggle and the journey you went on to get to the success, if they know that you've been on that journey and you can guide them through that journey, they're going to trust you. And like, do you find that you use that with your clients as well? Like how you get clients' results or students? Have you used a lot of storytelling or are you just more doing storytelling for your own journey and personal brand?
I feel like with getting clients, what works best is really high quality photos. So I do like to do a lot of model shoots at my salon. So I'll get a client to come in, I plan it out. I get them to wear specific clothes. I buy props from Shein and just plan a whole shoot. And it's honestly a lot of fun as well. I invested in a professional camera and then we'll just do a little lash set and take a bunch of photos and videos. I find that for clients, sometimes the viral videos do work, like the viral transitions and anything really fun. Yeah, but as for students and people who just want to follow along to my journey, storytelling definitely works best.
So do you think that the quality of your content has a direct correlation to the results that you get?
Yes, 100%. I feel like when I wasn't that good at social media, it was a bit harder to get clients and students. But now that I've really put also my personal identity into it, everything has been a lot easier.
So how much effort and time is it taking you to actually create this content? Because I know a lot of people are out there and they go, oh, I don't have the time, or I can't be bothered, or I'm not good at it. What does it take to get to your level, and what are the results that you see through doing this?
To be honest, I put up quite a lot of time into my social media. In the beginning of the year, I was putting in hours every single week just to create one carousel post because I am a bit of a perfectionist as well. But I actually hired a virtual assistant a few months ago, and that has definitely been a game changer to me. We've been able to pump out a lot more content, posting multiple times a week and still maintaining that high quality because I still do all the planning and all the script writing and all the photos. And I've trained my assistant to really know what graphics I like and what branding I like so she can help me create it as well.
And that just takes off that mental load of you having to always come up with the foundation. If you got the foundation there, you can tweak it, which allows you to continue being creative. I think the biggest thing that all of us face, especially with social media, is that creative burnout. When you're feeling creative burnout or you're I can't pull any more ideas, is the answer pushing harder, or what do you do to actually get yourself out of that position?
I think it's actually okay to take a break sometimes. I feel like when you're trying to force it, your quality of content actually becomes a lot worse. So what I would do is take a small break and, don't even think about social media for a while, just do the things you enjoy first. And then slowly the creativity will come back to you. And like I said before, looking at inspiration outside of beauty or your own industry, I feel like, that's really important.
I love it. For the person listening to this who doesn't show their face on social media and they're scared to because I'm not good on camera, or I don't like the way I look, or what if I sound silly? How can they start showing up on social media? What do they do? Because I'm starting to find myself unfollowing the brands who just post photos of their clients. I just don't connect with them anymore.
Yeah, so my advice is that it's actually okay to start small. You don't have to go all in and only be posting talking photos. So when I first started, I used to be a faceless brand as well. I had a logo, never posted my face. But then it was small changes that really helped. For example, changing my profile picture to be my face, or posting mirror selfies with my daily agenda, or posting what I'm doing on the weekend. So it started really small, just pictures of myself with little captions. And slowly I moved on to voiceovers because at the time I still didn't want to be on camera. Voiceovers is a lot easier because you can, practice doing it a lot of times. You can put other videos on top of it. And then slowly I got into all the talking videos because I felt a lot more confident after learning how to, speak on camera and doing all the voiceovers.
So basically you start out small, you just expose yourself that little bit, and then you start to push it again and again. So first the profile picture, then the photos of you, maybe with some little captions, stories, and then we're moving into voiceovers. And then after you've dipped your toes in that water, you could maybe move on to video. That's really valuable. And I think that also takes the pressure off of, I have to speak so perfectly and do all the right things. And, where do my hands go? And do I look at the camera? Where do I position it? Just make it so simple that it feels stupid not to get started. Now, you recently posted something that sparked a lot of conversation. You said 2-day lash courses should not exist. Can you please explain where that belief comes from and what your experience has been with short form training?
Yeah, so I'm very, very passionate about this topic because I went through it and I also know so many other people that went through it. I'll tell you 2 stories. The first one is when I took my lash course. So it was 2 days and, the content was great. The trainer was great, but with only 2 days, I just could not pick it up. So when we did the live model on the second day, I actually failed. My trainer said that I wasn't good enough and she couldn't certify me. And I remember going home and I just had a mental breakdown because I had spent my entire life savings at the time to take this course. And, I had really high hopes. And I also went into it thinking it would be really easy as well. So yeah. And after I took the course, I failed. I was very stressed and I had to go back a month later to redo it. And I also felt like I had to teach a lot of things to myself, such as volume, handmade, spikes. And then the second story is actually one of my staff. So her story is a lot worse than mine. She paid for a 2-day course and it was $3,000. Now, for lunch, they got Maccas. The trainer gave them Maccas for lunch. And the trainer only gave her like 6 nuggets or something like that. Like she couldn't even order anymore. The second problem with that was the trainer was actually taking her own clients during the course. So my team member, she was left trying to do her own model with absolutely no assistance because her trainer was taking her own clients. So yeah, my staff member, she was, devastated after the course. She had spent so much money and she was very young as well at the time. And she left feeling so underprepared. I don't think she even got a training manual with theory. So yeah, she was very, very lost when she finished her course.
It's really shocking how bad some of the trainings are. Like there's no sugarcoating it. That's terrible. I remember I did my lash course and it was one day, I think it was only like 6 hours, and I just didn't even get taught half the stuff. Like I didn't get taught how to tape different eye shapes. So then I actually gave my boyfriend at the time's brother's girlfriend, she was one of my models, a chemical burn and she had to go into emergency. And that was very traumatizing because I was like, I can't do this. I wasn't taught how to do a refill. And then they say, yep, get your 5 models, send your photos in and you get your certificate. And it's just like, how can you possibly learn in like what I did was one day, all of the technical skills plus the knowledge? It just doesn't make sense. When you look at that experience that you went through and then also your staff member, like what was the gap in the industry when it came to training and how have you started solving that or creating something completely different to support new beginner lash artists so they don't go through that same thing that you guys did?
So now I actually offer a 4-week program. So it's a lot better because there is time in between each lesson for the student to really go home and practice on the mannequin. I find that when you do like 1 or 2 days back to back, it is impossible. And, I used to teach that as well. I used to do 3-day courses because I was scared to be different. And I'll give my students a lot of homework. So after the course, they'll go home and sometimes they travel really far. So they might be home at 6 or 7 o'clock. And then they do the mannequin until like 12 or 1 or even 2 a.m. sometimes. Then they come back the next day absolutely exhausted, they're half asleep. They can't drink caffeine because if you drink caffeine, your hands will be shaky. And then they'll just, they wouldn't perform very well on the model. But it's like, who can you blame, right? You can't expect someone to just be a pro straight away. So with my new program, we really take things slow and we really focus on technique and safety. And another big thing about my course is that I also teach the business side of things. So how to price things, how to do social media and content creation.
It's great that you've got the business side because majority of people who are going out and learning lashes aren't going, hey, I'm going to take this course and then work for someone else. Usually they are going to go out on their own. And it's one thing to teach someone how to do the lashes, but if they don't know how to get clients, they're not going to practice. If they don't practice, they won't get their models. If they don't get their models, they'll just give up. And I found even in the course that I did back in the day, out of the 5 of us that did it, only 2 of us actually went on to offer the service because you don't have the confidence, you don't have the skills, you don't have the support. Now that you've actually offered your 4-week training to students, like what kind of feedback have you had from them? Have you even had people who have done a lash course in the past and then they're going to come to you to like retake and learn from the start?
I've had people retake my 3-day course, but not the 4-week course technically. But with this new 4-week program, I've been getting a lot of inquiries and, even lots of lash techs and other educators saying that this is such a great thing to do because we've all experienced the really short courses and like the industry needs something that is just a lot more longer and more immersive and detailed.
So many aspiring artists jump straight into online education these days. I've seen it in Facebook groups, what's a cheap lash course that I can do? What's a cheap brow course that I can do? I just want to do something online. Where do you think online learning works? And where does it fall short when building technical skills?
So I think online courses are great for any advanced courses. So if you're a lash artist and you already have the foundations, you know the technique, you know how to do classic and handmade, then yes, you can 100% take a online course, especially if you want to learn from someone who is not in your country. I think it's actually a great investment to make, and I've done it before. Now, as for beginner, I would never, ever, ever recommend doing a beginner lash course online. So you don't get a trainer next to you, so they can't help you with any mistakes. And when you're a beginner, your eyes aren't really trained to see such small lashes. Even with my students in the past, they could have, 10 stickies on the eye, but they wouldn't even know because they can't really see it. So it's really important that you have an educator next to you, helping you with that. And also, lashes, it's kind of dangerous if you think about it, right? You're holding tweezers, which are really sharp. You're using glue, which is, it's a chemical. And doing it without a trainer is just so dangerous.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, if you've got the dummy head and you're practicing on that on your own, watching an online video going, okay, cool, I got the hang of this. And then you got your first model in person, it's not the same. Like, I don't care what other people say, but when I did the dummy head, it was completely different than a real life model. And like, obviously, because I've had a bad experience and I have given someone a chemical burn because I wasn't trained properly and I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I'm very concerned for all these online courses that are, saying, here's a $400 online course, learn lashes. Like, how are you meant to learn the skills to actually be set up for success as a lash artist? Like, you haven't got someone over your shoulder who's giving you that feedback, who's moving your arms into the right position, who's calling out the little mistakes that you might be making. Because I always think of it this way, right? When you first go to the gym, if you were to go do a deadlift, a squat, or any movement, and you're watching a YouTube video, like, you might do it in what you think is correct, but if you filmed it, if you had someone there, they might go, you know what, your pelvis needs to be tucked in, or you know what, you're overarching your back. That's not safe. And so going and doing all these new movements and things just by watching videos, like, you're not getting that real-time feedback. And so you need the PT there with you. You need someone guiding you. And then as time goes on, let's say you've spent 3 years training, you've worked with the PT, you've mastered the basics, then you can go get the online program because you know how to do it. Like, people don't look at beauty the same way. They think online courses are going to be amazing. And like, don't get me wrong, people pour their heart and soul into creating online courses, but I think they don't consider that the in-person support is going to help them advance their skills faster than their online course could.
Yeah, and also as an educator, you can't really give people good feedback based off just a photo, because when I'm checking my students' work, I am going through every single lash 3 or 4 times, checking for any stickies, any bases lifting. It's all, very detailed, and I can't imagine giving that feedback just based off someone sending me like an iPhone photo of the lashes.
Yeah. Now, you've invested over $15,000 specifically into lash education, upskilling, and refining your skills. So you've seen firsthand what a premium education can unlock. For someone weighing up whether to go with a budget course or invest in something high quality, how should they be thinking about that decision in terms of long-term return on investment?
Even with your cheap courses, there's still going to be $1,000, $2,000, which is still quite a lot of money, right? And then you're going to end up wasting that money and not doing lashes at all. But when you actually invest in something high quality, you're set up for success. You're definitely going to be able to do it. You get an educator who really cares about you and will support you every step of the way. I don't think you should ever take the cheap, easy route, because I think it's a bit of a lie. It's a bit of a misconception, and you just won't really get anything out of it.
So in terms of investments, like, you've been growing your business, you've been growing your education, everything's been blowing up for you at the moment. Like, at what point did you realize that you couldn't grow alone and needed outside support to take your business to the next level? Like, what things were coming up for you?
So with my business before, I was the type of person who wanted to do everything by myself, because I thought it would be more cool to flex on social media if I, took the product photos myself, made the website myself. But then I realized that's not my expertise, and my expertise is lashes, and that's what I should be focusing on. And as for my business myself, I realized I needed to find an expert, someone like Sammy, to really teach me about the back end things of things, and also like the financial side. Because for me, I'm very experienced in like the creativity, the social media, and getting clients. But as for the back end, I wasn't that experienced, and I feel like it's really good to invest in someone who is an expert.
In terms of the things that you were struggling with and then you've now learned, like, what areas of your business in the back end were hard for you to try fix? Actually, no, that's not a really good question. Hold on, let me re-ask that. And looking back now that you've invested in getting that support, what were the things that you were struggling with specifically in the back end that you've now been able to solve in your business?
One of them will be my team. I felt like I wasn't the best team leader at first because I just didn't know what I was doing. And, they were kind of coming in for work and then going home, and that was kind of it. I didn't really have a connection with them. But, after doing my call with Sammy, she taught me that you actually have to put in a lot of effort in your team, doing things like monthly check-ins, weekly check-ins, and just really like always training them and making them better. Because if you have a good team culture, your whole business will become a lot better. And another thing was the whole pricing situation. So like we talked about earlier, when I first started, I was severely undercharging, especially for a commercial space. And speaking to Sammy, not only did she tell me the goal that I should be aiming for, but she's also given me all the stepping stones to reach that goal. Because I feel like it's been a whole process of like increasing the prices. Like, it started off like little things and like, yeah, I feel like you have given me stepping stones to get there.
Yeah, it was a huge thing.
Yeah.
It was a huge thing moving from contractor to wages as well,
Exactly.
and realizing what was going to be profitable. And now you are. I'm really proud of you. It's been so cool to see. Like, let's get really real, because I know a lot of people are scared of making investments in their business. And I'm not just talking about like getting a business coach. I'm talking about doing a professional branding shoot, getting nice clothes. It might be investing in a better quality bed for your clients. Like, making investments is scary. What kind of fears or hesitations have come up for you before you've taken the leap in these investments, and how do you work through them?
I used to be scared because I thought that the investments would be almost useless in a way, and I'll be scared of thinking like, oh, what if it's just a waste of money and, things don't get better and I'm still kind of stuck where I am. I kind of just did it, to be honest, but like slowly, I mean, I realized you have to look at the bigger picture. So, if you wanted to charge more and be a premium brand, you have to actually deliver quality service. You can't be, giving your clients like a cheap massage bed and charging like $200. Do you know what I mean? It's like you have to put in the work in your business for it to reflect. Otherwise, you will kind of feel bad about it yourself, and you'll feel really guilty charging more. Oh, I think that's what it is. Like feeling guilty. I feel like before I kind of thought like, I don't want to raise my prices because I don't think my work is good enough and that my salon isn't good enough. But yeah, ever since making the investment, I'm more confident to raise my prices.
And I think as well, if you're making investments in your business, whether it's, the actual equipment or whether it's the quality of things or your own skills, if that's contributing to better results or success or transformations for your clients, then it shows that you're investing and you care about them. It's actually a disservice to your clients if you actually sit there and you don't do anything for the next 10 years. Like, how much do you really care about them? How much do you really care about your business if you just kind of take your foot off the pedal, sit there and keep doing the same thing forever? Like, people like to know that you care about them and you're doing what you can to get them the best result. Now, a lot of business owners say, I'll invest when I'm more ready or when I have more money. In your experience, is there ever really a perfect time to invest in your growth?
No, I feel like you just have to do it, because if you keep saying that, you keep pushing it back and back and back. And I kind of went through it myself, like, yeah, there were times where I didn't invest in a course because I was kind of scared, or I said I didn't have money. And then, it will be pushed back to a year and then my skills still aren't as good. If you really want growth, you got to kind of just go all in and make the investments, because it will return and you have to trust that it will return as well.
I'm really curious, like, what's your thought process around investing? Like, how do you choose your next investment in your business? Like, what are you going to invest in next?
Ooh. Well, actually, I am investing in another lash course. She's actually an international educator and she also specializes in anime. And, even though I am the anime expert in Sydney, there's always room for improvement. And I know that there is always someone better than me. And I need to kind of put my ego down and learn more if I want to grow, as a lash artist and also as an educator. So yeah, taking lash courses from international people and also doing courses on like e-commerce and business so I can, grow my products as well.
I think it's good to look at what is the biggest problem in your business and why is it the biggest problem and what do you need to do to solve that problem, because one mistake that I've made is just jumping into investments because I'm like, oh, that sounds cool, but was it really what I need? And then sometimes you end up regretting it, or you're like, oh, this wasn't really what I expected. And I think the more clear you are on what you want and what the knowledge or skill gap is and what you need to actually learn or who you need to learn from to fill that, like that's how your business exponentially scales and grows faster, because instead of just, I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to take that. And, you know, I'm also referring to people who go, I'm just going to take a lash course. I'm just going to take a brow course. Now I'm going to do teeth whitening. Now I'm going to do maybe a little social media course. And, oh, I'm going to actually do like a TikTok course. Like it needs to be intentional. Like your investments need to serve a purpose in your business. Otherwise, you will just be throwing money at all these different things, not implementing them and wondering, why am I still stuck in the same position? For the person who's listening to this episode and they're watching from the sidelines, like maybe they're scared to show their face on social media for the first time. Maybe they're scared to hire a new team member. Maybe they're scared to start showing up as an authority, an educator or leader in this industry. What advice would you have to give to them?
My advice would be sometimes you honestly just have to go for it. And I promise you won't regret it, because if you don't try, you never know. And then you get stuck in this cycle where, you know, you're always scared and you're seeing everyone else.
So just do it, in the famous words of Nike. All right, we're going to work towards wrapping up this episode and do my favorite part, which is a rapid fire round of questions. So I'm going to ask you some questions and all you have to do is say the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
If lashes disappeared tomorrow, what's your backup career plan?
Cosmetic nurse.
Oh, wasn't expecting that one. I thought you were going to say dancer, low-key. What's one beauty trend you wish would just die already?
Tattoo eyeliner.
Oh, yeah, especially when it goes all blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Sydney mum, she's Vietnamese and she's got like really strong blue
Oh, so does my mom. She also has it as well. But people are still doing it these days.
What's the most unhinged client request you've ever received?
They brought their friend and then the friend was sitting next to the bed and they were talking, but they didn't talk to me.
That is so strange.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess people want to do that in the nail salon though. Like,
I guess, yeah. It was a bit awkward for me.
What's the biggest red flag in a client?
When people just message and they say how much.
Price shopping. They want the discount. What's your most iconic moment in your lash career so far?
Oh, honestly, doing the International Lash Masters conference recently, like being invited to have my store there was like a pretty big moment for me.
Tell me more. Like, what made it a standout for you?
Because I feel like, you know, in my business, it was always just me by myself and I never really connected with other people. So being able to attend an event, you know, not only as an attendee, but as a store holder and meeting.
Don't lie, you were a little celebrity there. We're here for it. And what's one thing you wish every person knew before starting a business?
Don't be afraid to take risks.
And lastly, what are the top 3 bucket list things you want to do before you turn 30?
Go to Europe for a rave, buy a house, and get a second cat.
Oh, very cool. Love it. Gloria, thank you so much for jumping on today and sharing so openly from anime lashes and branding to all the behind the scenes that people don't usually see. I know this episode is going to resonate with so many lash artists and beauty business owners who are either just starting or they're ready to level up. And if you're listening right now and this episode lit a fire under you, please screenshot it, share it on your stories, tag us both, and let us know what your biggest takeaway was. Whether it's building a unique brand, mastering a signature style, or getting the support you need to grow, I hope this episode reminded you that you don't have to do it the way everyone else does. You just have to do it your way and do it well. Thanks again for being here, Gloria, and thank you for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.
Audience exclusive.